Hello and welcome to another episode of Cristo Putting the World Right. This week with everyone's favourite conservative commentator, it's Emily Carver.
Conservative commentator.
Well, that was what we used to call you when
It
you were
is.
on
It
talk,
is.
right? How
Love
are
it.
you?
I'm good. It's Friday evening. I get to speak to Cristo.
Happy Friday. Oh, hang on. Let me just I'm muting my laptop because I don't want us to hear anything else. I want to give you my full and undivided attention as over the course of the next hour, and do like and subscribe and do all of that stuff, which I'm still trying to get my head around. But we're going to talk about Keir Starmer's relaunch and the utter joylessness of the Christmas lights switch on at Downing Street. We're going to talk about Sadiq Khan being knighted. Hurrah!
Oh,
We're going
God.
to talk about the rainbow refusals when it comes to the footballers on the pitch not wearing the rainbow armbands. And we're going to also talk about Prince Harry once again complaining about press attention whilst promoting his new Netflix series. So there is lots for us to discuss. Now, the first question, though, Emily Carver, is what are you drinking
Yes.
on this Friday evening?
Well, I've actually been to M&S on the way home, and I picked myself up a £7.50 bottle of Prosecco Rosé, so I'm having a little glass of that.
Oh, how festive. Well,
Yeah.
I am having
Morgan.
a vodka.
Oh, lovely.
We're
Just
both being
neat.
festive, actually. So I'm having my vodka.
Just on its own.
No. I've got a festive mixer. Tonight I've got Fever Tree spiced orange ginger ale. Because,
Oh, lovely.
orangey and gingery. Make sure it doesn't go everywhere like it did last week. Now, I went to M&S this week. We've got a new one in Brixton.
Oh,
And,
yes, I've seen this, and it's all the rage.
oh, it is amazing. I mean, it is just amazing.
Who
And
knew there were so many poshos in Brixton, eh?
I
Cristo?
know we're gentry now, babes. And I bought myself a bag of the mini extremely chocolatey mini biscuits,
Yes.
which are 70% chocolate. And I
Yeah.
bought myself a box of the chocolate orange extremely chocolatey biscuits. And I ate them all. And then
Oh.
I woke up this week with a gout attack. I've not had gout for years. I have got very serious gout. Yesterday, I was unable to walk. So what I am doing, drinking vodka, I have absolutely no idea, because vodka and alcohol in general is very bad for gout.
Cristo, I think we need to get a right of reply from M&S. I'm sure they'd tell us that your gout has absolutely nothing to do with their chocolates.
Well, and the fact that I drink half a tumbler of vodka every day. No, it's definitely the chocolate. Definitely the chocolates. 100%. It was nothing to do with the decanter of vodka that I drank and, the 17 bottles of wine. It was definitely that. So I've had a terrible week with my gout. I mean, this is dreadful, Emily.
I mean, what are the symptoms then?
So gout is it's what Henry VIII had, and it tends to affect the more rotund among us.
Right.
I don't know why it affects me. And it's basically a form of arthritis. And it's when you've got too much uric acid in your blood, and the uric acid crystals attack the bone. And it is probably one of the most painful conditions. I mean, I'm laughing about it. I can't even describe the pain.
Oh, Cristo, and this is heading into Christmas.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, I used to get gout, and I remember getting it one Christmas morning, and so I've had it since my 20s, and I've been very, very slim when I've had it. I've been very, very fat when I've had it, and it's so a Vietnam veteran was tortured by the Viet Cong, and then had gout when he got home, and he said he would choose the torture again over the gout because it is such a painful
Hang
condition.
on, Cristo, if you've had it when you're fat and you've had it when you're thin and everything in between, then is it genetics more than anything else?
You're absolutely right, Emily Carver. You're absolutely right. People think it's just a fat person's disease, but it's not. It is genetics. But I was so young when I first got it that I used to get it after a big night out when I used to go clubbing and to the gay clubs. And I used to always get it on my feet and my ankles. So I used to think it was a dance injury. So for years, I was going to the doctors going, I cannot, it's so painful you can't walk and you can't even touch the area that is affected with the tiniest, you can't even put a duvet on yourself. It's so painful. And I would go and I'd say, I've danced too hard. I've caused a
See,
problem.
I've just been raving too much,
I've been in
Just
the
been in
gay
Soho
clubs.
far too much,
I've been throwing my shapes to Madonna, and I have a dance-related injury. It was never a dance-related injury, but one Christmas I woke up and I could not walk. I had to drag myself on the floor to the bathroom, and I was like, "This is not right," and it kept going on. So I went to A&E, and they were like, "Oh, it's gout. It's definitely gout." So I have to be a bit careful and not drink too much.
Okay, but a little vodka on a Friday, that's all right.
Well, it's
That's all right.
Christmas, isn't it?
I won't tell your doctor. If
You're
you've
looking
got,
fabulous, by the way. Have you had a new do?
well, I've had it all done at work, but the real reason why I'm looking good is because I've got a ring light, especially for this podcast.
Ah, you've not got it just especially for this podcast.
No, but I haven't used it yet.
Have you not?
This is its first outing. It's
Oh.
reminding me of lockdown, where I had a little ring light because I had to do everything online.
Well,
Remember?
actually, this is your first. This is your fourth time using my ring. This is my first time using yours.
Oh, there you go. That's rather nice, isn't it?
It is nice.
That is rather nice.
We've got very fresh rings, which I think is always almost
And
like
you've got another spectacular jumper on.
Oh, yes. Now, this was actually a gift, and it's. Do you know what it is? Because I don't know whether you heard last week, but I'm coming over Giles Branreth at the moment, and Giles doesn't mind, and so I'm wearing. You're wearing tight-lipped, so I'm wearing another jumper, which is sport related. It's a rowing jumper, and can you see these are all of the.
I see.
I mean, you won't like one of those. They're European Emily's. You won't like that one. But that's American. You'd like that one. And you can see they're sort of rowing. So, yeah, these jumpers, I'm busting them out all the time. You like my jumper?
You're European, or at least your name is. So, and I like you. So there you go.
Well, that's true. And I love the EU, as you know. Oh, my God. How annoying. Did you watch Question Time last night?
I watched the clips.
I didn't think it was possible to find Alistair Campbell more annoying. Sometimes I hate the people who are on my side over the Brexit debate. I sometimes think I don't like any of them. I don't like.
Cristo, you've got to admit, the Brexiteers, they're more down to earth. Better sense of humour. All the Europhiles, they take themselves far too seriously.
Well, all my friends are on your side. So I'm friends with you. I'm friends with Richard Tice. I'm friends with Isabel Oakeshott. I'm friends with. You're all more fun.
Oh no, all the horrible people, eh? All the fascists.
The nasty, of course, your other half, Patrick Christie's, I love dearly, should have worn Speedos on his holiday. So, I mean, all the people I adore are all on the other side of the debate. And how are you friends with a Ramona?
Well, it makes me feel good about myself, Cristo. A little bit of charity here and there.
Right, okay. I thought your answer might be because you're amazing and I love you, but no, it's charity. All right, talking of charity, shall we discuss the reactions because they weren't very charitable to Keir Starmer's relaunch. Now, it's the relaunch that isn't a relaunch because it wasn't a relaunch, but it was a relaunch. But it was a reaffirming of the policies that we sort of knew already, apart from the ones that he has conveniently forgotten that he was telling us about. But he told us about them before, but he wasn't telling us about them again because it wasn't a relaunch, but it was a reset, but it wasn't. Okay?
Got it.
So 6 targets, they were called. Higher living standards, building 1.5 million homes, 92% of patients in England waiting no longer than 18 weeks for elective treatment. Very specific number.
Really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it, that one?
92%. So not 9 in 10, not 90%, not most, 92%. Putting police back on the beat and a named officer for every community. 75% of 5-year-olds in England need to be ready to learn when they start school. I mean, you presume if they were going to school, they might be. And an energy security protecting bill payers and climate security. So obviously you covered this on your wonderful show on GB News. So what was the main crux of what you were saying?
Well, I was actually up in Grimsby yesterday, and I was talking to people there. Now, Grimsby's been in the news because, well, parts of Grimsby have a very high unemployment rate. It used to be a fishing industry booming town, one of the richest ports in the world, and now huge numbers of people out of work. So we were talking about that. So I was up there talking to people there who weren't impressed, to be honest. But a lot of the people don't trust any politician. Whether it's Labour, whether it's Conservative, whether it's whatever. But I mean, in the studio, just the glaring omission, absolutely nothing on immigration, nothing. Even though it's a top priority among nearly all voters these days, nothing at all. And Keir Starmer seemed pretty aggrieved when he was asked by the media about that. You have these journalists coming up, everyone asking him after his speech, you said immigration was going to be one of your visions or your missions or whatever. Why is it not in your milestones, in your targets now?
What, I mean, that's so funny, like milestones, targets, pledges. I mean, look, it's all just hyperbole. But you are right. Afterwards, he said, well, look, it was because it's such an obvious issue. But you'd think if it was such an obvious issue, it might be one that would have made the list, and that is having a quantitative measurement of how much it would have been brought down. I mean, look, praise where it's due. I mean, he is as dull as ditch water. He has got the charisma of a crumbling breeze block on the floor. He is so unbelievably dull. If you were stuck in a lift with him, you would pray for the cable to break because he is there's nothing there. However, praise where it is due. At least he is, as Rishi Sunak tried towards the end of him being Prime Minister, he's trying to quantify pledges. And I think that is actually to be praised, to say, look, if I haven't done this many homes, or if I haven't done this many people reducing waiting lists, then I have failed. And that's dangerous for politicians, but I also think he should be praised for that. Do you think that's fair or not?
These targets aren't really targets, though, are they? Okay, so 92% waiting lists for less than 18 weeks or whatever. Okay, no one's going to remember that one. You've got nothing on an immigration target. I mean, even with the net zero, that's completely vague. Okay, there's a vague idea to sort of decarbonise electricity by 2030, but what exactly does that mean? I mean, it's all very loose. He doesn't want to sign himself up to anything. He's completely watered down the economic stuff. So we've gone from fastest economy in the G7 to now fastest economy in Europe to now better living standards for people. Okay, well, better living standards for people, what does that mean? Is it disposable income? Is it higher wages? What is it?
We are the fastest growing economy in Britain. So, I mean, you're right. We have gone from sort of G7 to Europe to Western Europe to now just Britain. That's why. I mean, I do say that.
But Cristo, I just don't understand how they're looking at these polls. We saw this shock poll. Okay, so yes, it's just one poll that puts Labour in third nationally after Reform and the Conservatives. And I don't think Keir Starmer cares, actually, that he's so deeply unpopular. I genuinely think he's looking at the polls and thinking, well, doesn't matter, I've got 4 years at this. Doesn't matter. If people hate me, I'm just going to continue on. You got Rachel Reeves, who's aged about 100 years since she's been in office. You've got Bridget Phillipson, who looks exactly the same as Rachel Reeves, hasn't got a clue. You've got David Lammy, I'm not really sure what he's up to. I mean, is this really the best we've got, Cristo? I mean, it's so depressing. I mean, the only good thing is that at least France is having a wobbly as well. At least Germany, their government's collapsed.
I'm trying to see the good in it. I happen to agree. I mean, I think this are an absolute shambles. And you've said my trigger phrase. Well, I've got two trigger phrases. One is Sadiq Khan and one is David Lammy, because I just think that these two people are just unbelievable. But going back to the numerical stuff, 1.5 million homes, that's a number. 92% of patients in England waiting no longer than 18 weeks. That's two numbers. 13,000 additional officers. That's three numbers. 75% of 5-year-olds in England register to learn when they start school. That is four numbers. Five if you can consider the 5-year-olds. So it may well be nonsense. It probably is, and they will try and fiddle it so that it looks like it's a success, whatever happens. But I'm going to give. I know you don't agree, but I'm going to give some faint praise where it's due to actually that we will have something to quantify and buy. What seems ridiculous, though, is you're right, higher living standards. Well, what does that mean? And when he's now produced a budget, his Rachel from accounts has now produced a budget that is arguably not going to give people higher living standards. In fact, employees are going to end up paying for these national insurance contributions because there's going to be fewer employees, or they're going to have to take pay cuts. And of course, the predictions for growth and for consumer confidence have never been lower. Major business leaders are all saying, what the hell is going on here? I don't know how that all equates to higher living standards at all.
Well, no, but Rachel Reeves is adamant that it's her way or the highway. She says, "Oh, I know people aren't sure about this, and yeah, this, whatever, blah 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 blah. But I haven't heard anything better. I haven't heard an alternative." Well, I'm sorry, Rachel, but many people are giving you an alternative. A lot of people are saying, you know what, probably not best to tax the small businesses huge amounts when, they're recovering from a pandemic. Hospitality is struggling. You've got pubs closing every day. You've got people with aspiration and ambition moving to other countries. I mean, it's an absolute shambles. The problem is, I think it's just very, very ideological, isn't it? I mean, if you look at what's happening with the farms, is that really about the billion or the 500 million that they're hoping to raise? Is it really about that? Or is it about, hammering people who've got a bit of something, who've got an asset? Is it about that? And I worry about that sort of thing. Same with the private schools. The pledge on the private schools, we're going to tax the fees. Yes, this doesn't matter to most people in the country. Of course it doesn't really, right? But that's where at the Labour conference, that was the biggest round of applause, wasn't it? That was the biggest whoop in the room. Tax on private school fees. Something that doesn't matter to most people, but it's just a way of hammering people who have got a bit more than someone else. What's the point? Do we want to live in a country where you hammer people just because they've got something? Or do you want to live in a country where, you try and make it possible for everyone to have something? I know which country I want to live in, but I'm not sure. The problem is the Conservatives let everyone down. And so Labour...
I agree. And actually all of this that we're talking about, we have to lay blame at the door of the Conservatives. We do, because none of this would be happening had they not been such an absolute shambles for the best part of half the time they were in office. But I think it does affect everyone. I mean, you're right. On paper, the stuff about the farms and private schools don't affect a massive amount of people. But, and I spoke about this, if you want to go and check back, Benedict Spence and I, and actually Russell Quirk and I had a really good chat about some aspects of this in previous episodes. If you look at the way in which they're hammering landlords, for instance, again, ideological over practical. Ideologically, people who probably are very left-leaning would say, brilliant, those landlords, they've got an asset, brilliant, let's go after them. Farmers, brilliant, they've got that asset, let's go after them. Private schools, brilliant, they've got that asset, go after them, those people paying. But actually, the flood of children who will end up in the state school system is going to affect every child, including the poorest children. If you look at landlords, well, actually, so many decent landlords are leaving the industry, therefore meaning that actually the number of homes that are around, there are fewer of them putting prices up, and those people, and the gap in homes is being filled by massive corporations like BlackRock, like John Lewis, who are choosing to build to let now, meaning that, of course, they're not going to put rents down. Good luck with, my tenant. I spoke about this before. My tenant used to ring me now and then in one of my flats and say, you know what, I'm actually waiting for money from a job. Can I give you the rent 4 days late? And I'd say, yeah, as long as it comes in on that day, absolutely fine. Good luck doing that with BlackRock. And good luck with BlackRock making sure that the rent is reasonable so you stay there longer. When you look at the farming stuff, well, big swathes of farmland are going to be sold to pay the inheritance tax bill. Who's going to buy that? Massive multinationals. They're not going to worry about quality like a local farmer. They're not going to worry about food prices being low for a good product. So the very people that they're claiming they want to help, tenants, consumers of food who want to buy it at a decent price, and those people in state schools, are the very people that will end up suffering as a result of this ideology over practicality.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more, Cristo. You see, we've got a lot in common here. We get angry about similar things. I am actually quite furious about this.
Are you coming on to me?
Not tonight. Not tonight, but maybe another day in the new year.
Is Patrick there? Can you send him in? You never send. Always send a man.
Job right now. Patrick's doing his job right now.
Always send a man to do a woman's job. That's what I say. But no, you're right, though. You're absolutely right. And that's what's so frustrating to stand aside and watch it, because you might not agree with it, but you'd get it if you thought, okay, well, actually, they are going to raise a load of money, or by hammering landlords or hammering people who are paying the VAT on the private schools, actually the state education system would work better. I'd even get it if they said, when it comes to the VAT on private schools, if they said, well, you know what? We are going to charge VAT on private schools in 4 years' time. And in that time, we're going to increase the places in state schools, and we're going to increase the number of state schools in order to, in 4 years' time, and we're going to give you a warning as well. So if your child is in school, you've got 4 years until that comes in, so your child can finish their time in school, or 5 years or whatever. And then in 5 years' time, when we've increased the amount of capacity for state schools, we will then bring in this VAT charge. Now, I wouldn't like it, but I would say, right, well, at least you've set the groundwork for this policy and the effects of it. But you don't do it this way round if you're going to do it, because there's not going to be the capacity. There isn't the capacity.
Well, but this is the problem. They say, the money's going to go towards improving the state sector. No, it's not. It's just going to go into the pot like everything else they tax us, like every other tax. It's just going to go into the pot to be spent on God knows what, whether it's GB Energy, which I still don't understand what exactly it's doing. GB Energy, this £8 billion pot that apparently is going to be spent on solar panels and carbon tech, whatever it's going to be doing. No, it's not. What on earth is that? Or is it going to be spent on, I don't know, migrant hotels? Is it going to be spent on our bloated public sector? What is it going towards? I very much doubt it's going to go towards your local high school. I don't know.
Also, didn't they find that the money from their own analysis that it would raise would equate to a quarter of a teacher per school? Like, literally, yeah. I mean, you'd get a leg. You'd get sort of Mrs. Taylor that does the maths. You'd get her right arm in her bosom. I mean, that's basically it. That's all Mrs. Taylor's going to be.
That's all you need, Cristo. That's all you need.
That's all you need. Half her face. That's it. That's all you're going to need. So it doesn't even.
I don't think they were ready, Cristo. I think that's the problem. Well,
how could they not be ready?
Problem. I mean, ideologically, obviously, I'm quite far apart from the Labour Party, but I think they weren't ready. I think they thought it was going to be easier than it has been. I think they thought they were going to be more popular than they are. And it's quite something when you have now, according to this one poll at least, the Conservatives and Reform now making up 50% of the vote share.
And I'm going to say something. I like Kemi. I really like Kemi. Okay, I don't think, if I'm being critical, she's quite hitting it out the park in Prime Minister's questions yet.
No, she's not quite, is she?
But I loved the fact that I love the fact that she's fearless in what she says, and she actually seems to have a bit of ideological backbone through her. And I also think that with some of the problems that the UK is facing, immigration being one of them, and let's be honest, it's immigration policy most people are against rather than immigrants themselves. A lot of people are friends with people who've come from other countries, and that's what really annoys me about this debate, actually, because the word racist gets thrown around, but actually you're not racist if you're annoyed about immigration policy. That doesn't mean you hate the person next door to you. You hate the way in which the policy's been handled. And I think that it will take a black woman to say things that are unsayable that a white man wouldn't get away with. That I don't
Isn't
think
that ridiculous,
that's.
though? I mean, you had Suella Braverman. She absolutely copped it, even though she's ethnic minority.
But then I think that just exposes people as hypocrites, because I hate this whole thing that we really want people who've different ethnicities and sexualities to be in positions of power. Oh, but not that one, because we don't like what she says, or we don't like what he says. That's so hypocritical.
Yeah, I think the problem with Kemi so far is that we don't know what she stands for. She talks quite a lot in philosophical terms, and she will debate things for a long period of time. She's very wary of the media, fair enough. I mean, most people are these days, and probably some politicians should speak to the media less, whoring themselves about and this. But I mean, I'm not exactly sure what her policies would be if she were to be Prime Minister. I think that's the difficulty with
No, but
Kemi
when
Badenoch.
she was talking at conference, she was I tell you what, she was very Thatcherite. Small state,
Mm.
rewarding business, rewarding aspiration, getting rid of the VAT on school fees. She was very much, I think, what the Conservatives probably should be in order to get electoral success. Whether they will allow that to come to fruition, and you're right, she hasn't. She set her stall out to Conservative members. She hasn't actually
Mm.
set her stall out to the electorate yet. And what I don't want her to do is what Keir Starmer did, and that is hang back and hope that the chaos means they get elected because the opposite side is so chaotic, rather than this is my ideology, this is what you will be voting for. You won't be
I
voting
just think
against these
I don't know.
people.
Like with the ECHR, for example, you had Robert Jenrick who came out very strongly to say the Conservatives would leave the ECHR. Now, whether you like that or don't like it, it's his policy. It shows conviction. It shows that he knows what he's putting forward. If you don't like it, fine. If you do like it, great. Okay. Kemi tries to play both sides by saying, we'll have a discussion about it. I'm not ruling it out. Could happen in the future. Well, all right. Okay. Well, you're either lazy or you think that, it should take 4 years to decide these types of things.
Isn't she just
I don't
smart?
know.
Isn't she
I
just
don't know.
being smart by not ruling it out and not?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
because the
mean,
problem the
is
problem
that
with
is
the
that good enough after 14 years of Conservative government? If
yeah, but
it were
not
a
led by
fresh,
her. Not led by
yeah,
her.
yes,
And
but
just
she's been
one
a
thing about
minister.
the
She's
ECHR.
been a minister. She's learned how things work.
The only thing I'd say about the ECHR, though, is, and I take your point and I take the frustrations around it, but I think there's a real danger, if we don't think about that carefully, that the Conservative Party gets bogged down in its next term in government, if it gets in, with leaving the ECHR like Brexit, rather than actually doing anything. Because whether you love or loathe Brexit, the Conservative Party got so bogged down with that rather than policy, and rather than actually selling themselves to the British people over and above Brexit for a long, long time. And I would be reticent, whatever the reasons for or against leaving the ECHR might be, I'd be really reticent for another government to go down that road and get consumed by the infighting around
Oh,
that.
I do completely agree, and I think that may well happen. But I do think at this stage, it's nice to hear a politician tell you exactly what they think.
Well, I think give
And I'm
Kemi a
not
chance. That's
sure
all I'll
if.
say. Give her a chance.
Oh, I'm willing to give her a chance. I think she's a very intelligent woman. I've heard very good things from people who work with her. I think she's ambitious. I think she's
Do you know what
ambitious
I
for
like
this
about her?
country. I think on cultural issues, she's absolutely spot on. Whether it's education, whether it's talking about our history and all the great things about Britain, not talking our country down, talking about free speech, talking about the right to actually speak your mind, and all of this is actually pretty powerful coming from a woman like Kemi. But
I
I
absolutely
do
agree.
worry if she's trying to skirt things a little too much.
Well, and I think that's a fair point, and I think let's give her a chance and see. However, what I love most about her is that loads of people I know that have worked with her, and I say this as a compliment, though it might not sound like it, say that she doesn't always come across as particularly nice or
Yeah.
care about being popular. And I kind of love that. I'm so sick of the Borises and the Blairs and the people who are sort of like, care about being liked. No, I care about you being. Look at Thatcher, didn't give two hoots whether she was liked. She knew she was right. And that is, we need more of that conviction rather than, oh my God, let's be friends. Oh my God, are you all right? Oh, I really love working with you. No, I don't want any of that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. Too many people care about what everyone else thinks. I
Yeah.
wonder if it's something to do with everyone always blames everything on social media.
Is
But
it,
I do
is it,
think there's a lot of that. I think a lot of our politicians are so terrified of, having a quote put out there that sounds a bit, OTT, or the actual truth of what they believe out there. Everyone's so bloody careful all the time, aren't they, Cristo?
are
They're so
we, are we,
scared to speak out of turn.
are we giving a backhanded compliment here to Keir Starmer? Because actually, clearly, I mean, he doesn't give two hoots about being liked. I mean, maybe that is one thing you can say in his favour is, I mean, okay, we don't agree that perhaps he's right on everything, but my God, you can't deny his dogged determination to plough on, can you?
The problem is, Christo, I don't believe anything he says. I don't think people believe what he has to say. What does he actually think about things? What does he actually think about, our education system? What does he think about immigration? What does he actually think about climate change and things?
Yeah, you're right. You're
You know,
right. You're right. You're
I
right.
don't know. What does he actually think about all of those things? All I've got is when he used to speak openly when he was a student, and obviously he was a mad commie back then.
They
Does he
all
still
are.
hold those beliefs? I have no idea.
They always are. They always are. And how many people has he actually spoken to? I mean, the one thing you could say about Rachel Reeves, love or loathe her, she has got a track record of having spoken to a lot of the lecturer in the call centre she worked in. So, every cloud. You
I
know?
heard she was an economist at the Bank of England.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. So,
yeah.
so so was I. When I used to sell PPI all those years ago, what I was actually was I was running the Bank of England. Who knew? Who knew I was running the Bank of England? Oh my God! I didn't even know myself until I look back on it. I didn't even know myself till I did my LinkedIn profile, and then I realised that's exactly what I've been doing. So yeah. All
I'd
right,
just
can we
like to
just?
say to your audience, I'd just like to remind your audience that I love you so much, or care for you so much, Christo, that
Yeah,
I was willing to come on your early morning breakfast show on New Year's Day.
you did, didn't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah,
You did, you
I
did. I
did.
loved it. One of the things when you went to the other side, and I get what you did, why you did it, obviously, because it was a great step for you, and you're doing great guns there. But you were one of the people I genuinely missed doing stuff with. And you know what was interesting, and you can't remember saying this to me. You and I, at first, when we first did things together, were a bit like, because you weren't sure about me, and you told me afterwards. You forget telling me this. You were like, I never got you. Because I think you thought I was so entrenched in Remain. You were like, I never got you. I never got why people sort of liked you, and now I really adore you. And I don't think you remember saying that to me, but you actually did.
Why would I say something so rude?
Because you're quite rude sometimes, maybe.
Blunt, perhaps.
No,
Blunt, perhaps. Which is why I can never be a politician, Christo.
you were giving me a compliment. You were actually giving me a compliment. It was sort of it was
I think I was
backhanded.
probably referring to something that I'd seen about you.
It was
Because
Brexit.
I've sometimes seen comments about you from fans of yours who've said, "Oh, I didn't know about Christo to begin with, but now I can't do without him," or "Oh, he really warms on you." Oh, his comforting voice. I wasn't sure about his Romaniac things, and then fell in love with Christo. There's quite a lot. It's not just me,
No,
There's other people saying this stuff.
you're absolutely right. Everywhere I've ever worked, like people at first have gone, "Oh my God, we absolutely hate him." Everyone I ever meet, seriously, quite a lot of people I meet are like, "Oh
What?
God, what's this
Who's
guy
like
like?"
you?
And then eventually they're like, "Oh my God, we love him." It's like we didn't get him at first, but now we get him. So I'm very very grateful that you got there. Well done, you. But also, it's a bit frustrating because it's like, but also maybe it's because of my Romaniac nature. Now, maybe we haven't got there with that with Keir Starmer, but can we just have a moment, just to finish off talking about him, to talk about the utter joylessness? I don't know if anyone saw the video online of him turning on the Christmas lights outside Downing Street.
Could you please join me when I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! It worked.
You tweeted about it. I tweeted about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! It was so joyless.
Scarlet. You know, this is where the British people come into their own. We have the best sense of humour in the world. I think it's fair to say, or at least I think so anyway.
Yeah, I do as well. I do.
Just the comments, the memes, the GIFs, the videos, the reaction to this is just absolutely hysterical. I mean, I'm not sure what I wrote. I think I just wrote how horribly awkward or something like this, a little robot emoji. But you know, how can he? I think you tweeted. Did you tweet? How could he make something like that so joyless?
Yes.
And that's absolutely spot on. You know, this is supposed to be turning on a Christmas tree. I've got a Christmas tree here if you want to have a look. There you go.
It's lovely.
It's not finished.
Do you know what I love about it? It's not over decorated. I hate over decorated Christmas trees.
Oh no, I'm not finished, Cristo.
Oh. Okay.
So it might become over decorated. But how can you make something so fun, like turning on the Christmas lights, seem like a hideous chore?
Just awful. Just the most awful, joyless, dull, almost painful event. I also tweeted, if a piece of
Cristo,
wet...
this is a man who couldn't think of a favourite Christmas movie. You know?
What is yours?
He was asked, "What's your favourite Christmas movie?" and he couldn't think of any.
Oh, that's outrageous. That's
Die Hard, Cristo.
Oh.
No, Sleepless in Seattle. I love Sleepless in Seattle.
I like Die Hard. I like your Die Hard choice. That was a good choice.
I'm not going to go for Love Actually.
No.
You go for one of the old classics. What's yours?
Trading Places.
Trading Places.
Have you ever seen that?
I must have done.
It's the one where Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Dan Aykroyd is a big broker in, I think, New York, and his bosses have a bet that they can make him broke and take a tramp and turn him into a millionaire.
I know. I've seen it.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
I think it's got a trigger warning now because there's a scene when they're all on the train and he's impersonating a Rastafarian, Dan Aykroyd, and so I don't know whether it can be shown nowadays, but it's the most brilliant movie. Okay, now we were talking about humorless. This is something that's quite humorless. Can we talk about Sir Sadiq Khan? Yes, Sadiq Khan is apparently going to be knighted in the New Year honours. And excuse me, that's my vodka coming up. Sorry, it's my vodka burning the back of my throat as it tries to escape from my gullet because it's so disgusted by such a suggestion. I mean, oh God.
Shall I put the case forward for Sadiq Khan to become a Sir?
All right. This is surprising, but go on. Yes.
So he was the MP for Tooting for over a decade. Most people haven't been the MP for Tooting for over a decade. So there you go. There's an achievement. He was a minister under Gordon Brown. I don't know for what department, but he was a minister.
Wasn't he a minister for transport when all of the diesels were encouraged to be bought, which he's now charging for with the ULEZ?
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I think he was.
He's also won, quite incredibly, and I mean incredibly in the real definition of that word, the London mayoral ticket 3 times in a row. So there you go. And there is no limit for how many terms a London mayor can serve. So he could be the London mayor for his entirety of his life. So there's a thought.
There's
a three grand achievements, don't you think, Cristo?
He could be the London mayor for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Is that what you just said? So he might be London. So what is he? He must be like in his 50s. So
I don't know how
feasibly,
old he is. He doesn't look very old.
he could be London Mayor for the next 40 years.
I think so.
He could win another
No
10
limit.
elections.
There's no limit. There's no limit.
I just.
But if I'm going to give my...
You know, if he won another election, there would be a cycle lane going through this house. There would be, and if he did in 10 elections time, I literally will have a cycle lane in my bed. I'll wake up and someone will be speeding past me. I'm like, what?
I
And that'll be why.
I have this argument regularly with my co-host at GB News, Tom Harwood, because Tom loves a cycle lane.
Oh, I bet
Can't
he
get
does.
enough of a cycle lane. I'm not sure he really rides a bicycle much, but he loves the cycle lanes. And I despise them.
I don't mind them if they're well thought out. I don't mind them if they're designed not
They
to
weren't
create
though, were they,
congestion.
Cristo? That's the issue. You know, during lockdown, there were quite a few of these cycle lanes put in while we were all sleeping.
Yes.
And they're not all well thought out. They
No.
kind of get in the way of the traffic.
Yes, because they are designed to create congestion because they think that creating congestion... Because what happened a few years ago, something happened. And there was a theory around something called modal shift. And what that means is that the harder they make journeys by vehicle, by car, by motor vehicle, the more likely you are to go, oh, God, screw this, I'll get on a bike. So we ended up with a shift from politicians, which we used to have, saying, God, London's not moving. Big cities aren't moving. Let's create policies that make it easier for people to get around to, oh, let's make it worse for people. Let's make it harder for people, and then they'll get out. So it's every time I see someone complaining about what Sadiq Khan has done to London and say, oh my God, the congestion is terrible. Park Lane, the biggest thoroughfare through central London, has got a cycle lane when there's one 10 metres away. It's causing massive congestion. I say to them, you're complimenting him because this is what they want. This is the actual objective, is to create congestion.
Oh no, these cyclists, these cycle maniacs, whatever you want to call them, like the real extremists, do think that everyone would be happier cycling. Now, I make the argument that I would rather be stuck in traffic than get on a bicycle and cycle through central London to work.
You know, I love
why.
getting on a bicycle now and then. I do
The
now and
weather.
then, but I like getting on a bicycle now and then, but I don't need...
In central London, you like getting on a bicycle?
Yeah.
Good grief.
But I don't need roads closed for it because I'm competent. I make eye contact with drivers. I signal where I'm going. I stop at red lights. I'm not a moron. I don't need a segregated lane to myself because I'm able to interact with traffic because I know what I'm doing. I've been trained. And actually, when you do that, it's great to cycle in central London. You look round when you're about to pull out. You make eye contact when you're not sure what they're doing. You thank a driver that holds on for you. And in that situation, because I'm trained and I'm not a moron, I'm able to do it.
I don't know, Cristo, you're a braver man than I. I tried cycling. I tried grabbing one of those Boris bikes or Sadiq bikes, whatever you want to call them. And yeah, I had to start pedalling it down the pavement because I was that scared.
You're one of
Park
those.
Corner, massive mistake.
I don't get on those because of hygiene reasons. However, I don't get those for hygiene.
What? Because someone else's bottom's been on them.
I don't want to rub against someone else's bottom, and I don't want to.
What are you worried about?
And I don't want to put my fingers on someone else's handlebars. Thank you.
What?
But
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, there's hygiene. Think of the hygiene. Think of the fingers that have.
Life's too short to worry about that.
Life's too short to worry about fingers. That's what I've always... Do you know what? They shall put that on my grave. That's the name of my autobiography.
Don't kill yourself off this, yeah. You might have a bit of gout, but, you've got many years to live.
Got many fingers to worry about yet. So thank you, Emily. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me, sadly. It is. And also, could I just talk about one other aspect of London, which I just can't believe this failure is being rewarded? Literally, the week that is being announced that Billingsgate and Smithfield Markets, one of which has been in London for 800 years, are having to close because of a new development of flats. Now, I get the need for housing, but none of it's going to be probably the housing that Londoners need. But secondly, how can you reward a mayor when London is becoming this absolutely horrific stale, beige, no man's land of boredom.
Yeah, I mean, the architecture, it's gone downhill, hasn't it? It's gone downhill.
Well,
These
this
new
week it was
builds,
announced
I
Marks
mean,
and
around
Spencer.
Elephant and Castle, I don't know what you make of those. The new M&S, not sure what you make of that.
But have you? Okay, we was praising M&S earlier, but Marks and Spencers in Oxford Street is gonna. It's just been approved. They're gonna tear down their 1930s Art Deco building for a disgusting concrete and glass monstrosity, and
Yeah, it's going to be a cookie
everyone's
cutter
thrilled.
building now. Yeah, absolutely no authenticity, no uniqueness, no nothing. Just everything's going to look the same, and we're all going to be happy, Krista.
You know, this is. I don't. I'm
And
not
they'll all
surprised.
cost you £2 million for a studio flat.
Well, as a landlord, that's brilliant news for me, though. I will say that. I mean, I'll be taxed to oblivion of it. There's no point me ever selling it. There's no point me ever renting it out. But the fact I might own one is probably a good thing.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. If the crime wave continues in London, probably everyone will be moving.
Well, the thing is, why not move to Dubai if you've got any ambition? Because you've got the same architecture now.
Yeah, well, quite. And it's sunnier.
Yeah.
It's sunnier. No, I'm still holding out. I'll be in Britain till I die.
So I love Great Britain, and I'm Greek, but I'm British, and I embrace Greek traditions, but I embrace British
Who do you
traditions.
support in a football match, though, Cristo?
Oh, England. If it was Greece versus England, I'd support England. I wouldn't be upset if Greece won because it would be so good for Greece, but I would support England because I'm English Greek.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually, I'm having some more vodka now. It's really going down a treat, this vodka. I won't lie.
I do like that crystal, the bottle you've got there.
Do you know what? In my house, one of the first things I did was get a beautiful silver tray, and I have a selection of lead crystal decanters. So this one's got vodka in. I've got one with gin in, one with amaretto in, one with whiskey, and one with brandy. Because in Dallas, they always used to come out
In Dallas
and make themselves a drink with a short glass like this, a short tumbler, ice, and a spirit like that. I think there's something very classy about having your spirits in decanters.
Oh, absolutely. As long as you can keep track of which one's which. Although it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Does your husband partake as well, or is it just you, the boozer?
Oh no, he partakes as well. He absolutely does. Mainly vodka, though. We mainly drink the vodka. The others are for guests. But to be honest, if I end up like the other day, for instance, I got confused with the decanters. I ended up having a massive gin. I was like, all right, well, if that's the worst thing I face,
That can happen.
it's all right. Things are all right.
You can live with that.
I can live with that. Things are okay.
When you also, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? A bit of fun. Oh, is it vodka or is it gin?
Exactly. You know. All right. Now, can we talk about? We'll talk about Meghan and Harry in a bit because I like to do a weekly Meghan and Harry story. But can we talk about the rainbow refusals in the Premier League? Now, this is an interesting story about the Premier League players, one of which particularly decided to. This is Ipswich Town's captain, Sam Morsey, and he decided not to wear a rainbow armband. I don't know why. I just demonstrated what an armband was there by rubbing my own arm. I just wanted to touch myself, Emily. Oh my God, am I being a bit Greg Wallace today?
It's all right. I don't feel threatened.
Are you threatened by me?
I don't feel threatened. Don't worry.
Oh, who's calling you?
I'm sorry. That was Patrick.
Tell Patrick, unless it's a video call and we can join him together.
I'm telling him I'm on a podcast with Cristo.
Yeah. But give him a link to my OnlyFans.
How much are you per month?
For Patrick, I'll pay him. Do you mind that I slightly harass your husband?
No, I think he finds it flattering.
I mean, bearing in mind I actually did it at your wedding.
What, you touched him at my wedding?
I think I did, yeah. I think he was all right with it. I think he was actually, the irony was, he was all right about it.
I'll just tell also your viewers and listeners that Cristo is the life and soul of the party. He was chatting away to everyone at the wedding, making
I
friends with all my relatives, people you'd never met before. Just a delight. A delight to have at a party.
I loved your wedding. I really did. And we'd been out at the party the night before. My friend Roger had a
Oh God,
party.
yeah, you had, hadn't you?
And so we were really hungover. And I was like, oh God. And I won't lie. I mean, I
You were like,
really
oh
wanted to come.
no, not another bloody
But
wedding.
I was like, oh God, I've got a wedding today. But obviously we were going to come. Obviously we were, because it was your wedding. And so we got it. And it was one of my favourite weddings I've ever been to, where literally I didn't know that many people. But they were all so unbelievably friendly. And you wrote me, and can I say about what you wrote me?
Yeah, go on.
So I sat down you did an amazing touch for a wedding, which I've never seen anyone do before. And it was such a lovely touch. So we sat down at the table at the wedding. Everyone had their seating plans. And obviously we sat at our place, and you'd written a card for everyone that was there. And you wrote a card saying how much you and Patrick how much you love me, and how much I'd helped you years ago, and all this stuff. And I cried. It's making me cry now. It was the kindest, most. Honestly, it was so lovely. It was. I'm not even joking. It was so lovely. It was
You were in a
so
hungover,
lovely.
vulnerable state, Cristo.
That's always how you've wanted me.
I'm sure you got back on the champagne, though.
I was hungover and vulnerable for a moment, and then I went back to being the predator I am with your husband. And
Hang
so
on, Cristo, we need to get back to the armbands.
Yes, we do, because see, look, I'm going off track now because of the vodka. Because Ipswich Town's captain Sam Morsey's decision, you could tell you're a presenter. You could tell now. Look, you're getting the conversation back on track. You know what I mean? I'm in the wilderness. You're a proper broadcaster now. Let's get this conversation back on track. So Sam Morsey's decision not to wear the rainbow armband in support of the Rainbow Laces campaign. Now, what do you think of, firstly, the rainbow armband? Secondly, his refusal. I think it's his Islamic faith that makes him not want to. And yes, he's an Egyptian international, and he's a Muslim, and that's why he doesn't want to wear it. So what do you think of the initiative itself and the fact he's not wearing it?
Okay, so firstly on the old rainbow armband. Now, apart from Benjamin Butterworth, most of the people who belong to the LGBT community that I've spoken to don't give a crap about rainbow armbands. I mean, they don't see it as some, brave thing that's going to prevent homophobia in football, right? And I think it's actually a little bit authoritarian to decide as a football club, or to decide as the FA, that everyone should wear a rainbow armband to prove they're not a homophobe. I mean, if you refuse to wear one, does that automatically make you a homophobe? You might be a homophobe, right? You might be, but a lot of people don't want to conform to anything. I wouldn't want to wear an armband for anything, maybe apart from remembrance, And to force footballers whose job is literally to kick a ball in a goal to make some kind of statement about the LGBTQ plus community, I think is ridiculous. But what I will say is that, okay, you have a Muslim footballer saying they don't want to wear it, and there's no problem. Okay, fine. But you've got to allow that across the board. You can't give special privileges to the Muslim community. You can't give special privileges to another community. You either have a rule or you don't. That's what I think. What do you think?
I appreciate your nuance about either anyone can not wear it, rather than a particular religion or faith having a dispensation not to. So the thing that made me change my view on this a little bit is that it's only a week a year. Now, unlike Black Lives Matter, where it became taking the knee every single football game, which I think was ridiculous, but I've no problem if they had chosen to take the knee, say, at the start of the Black Lives Matter movement, when it was less perhaps political, or some would say toxic, as it becomes. I wouldn't have had a problem with that because you're saying, look, this movement is happening. All of us, if they said, right, at the start of Black History Month, we're going to take the knee once because we're just going to have a nod to this thing happening, I wouldn't have a problem with that. When it goes on for the entire year constantly, you think, well, that means nothing then because you're doing it every single game. And so then it doesn't actually mean anything. So the fact that this is only 1 week a year, I think that the initiative itself for 1 week a year is actually fine. I don't have a problem with the initiative because it's not every single week. You're not having to wear an armband every single week. It's fine. The issues I have with it are, firstly, what does that armband mean? Because the rainbow flag now means very, very different things than what it used to, because there are political elements to it now because of the debate around trans rights and women's rights, and that is political because the state needs to intervene about what
that's
those
the thing,
rights
Cristo,
mean.
though. It doesn't mean anymore I'm not a homophobe and I support people's rights to fancy who they
No, but
fancy,
but
right?
if you look at it,
means you sign up to potentially that you can change your sex, or that you don't believe that gender aligns with sex, or
yes,
you mean that transitioning is fine, or whatever it is.
or
I don't
sport
believe that everyone has to sign up to those sort of things.
sport itself, because there's a big issue in sport itself. And would those players be happy then playing football against someone who was female who transitioned to male, who might then be in the game or anything like that? And so I think that where the debate lies in this is, what does the rainbow flag mean now? So I just think, wear it if you want to, don't wear it if you don't want to, and if you don't want to, that's fine, and if you do want to, that's fine.
Yeah, but why is there this sort of authoritarian urge to want absolutely everyone in a particular industry, every single footballer, to sign up to the same thing, to wear it?
Because
why does everyone have to show, by wearing an armband, that they're not a homophobe? I just don't get it.
I tell you why. Because there are no gay footballers.
Yeah.
No. There are no footballers who feel comfortable enough to come out, and there are gay football fans who still encounter homophobia. So I do get the concept. Like, Matt Lucas sent a tweet about how he was homophobically abused on the way to a game.
Do you think it helps, though? Do you think the armbands help?
I think it.
Or do you think they actually bring out the bigots?
But that's no reason not to do it. It's almost a reason to do it. But where I disagree.
What would be really brave is if the gay footballers wore the rainbow armband, but then I guess
out and admitted what
they just came out. Yeah,
they like more than balls filled with air. But the difference. I agree. By the way, you shouldn't be made to by your club. You should want to, and it should be a suggestion rather than an authoritarian thing. Because then it becomes meaningless. Because if you do it because you're forced to, there's no point. And secondly, I think it should be a once a year thing. As in, we this week, for whatever reason, whatever it might commemorate, we acknowledge this and we're having a nod to it, rather than having to wear an armband all year. Because again, then it becomes meaningless. So those are the rules in my mind that make it mean something and make it.
But why is football special? Is it because gay footballers find it difficult to come out?
Yes.
Because you could do that in all sorts of different industries, couldn't you?
Don't find that in ice skating, babes.
Should builders wear the rainbow armband, 1 week a year? Should teachers do the same?
I would love my builder to show solidarity with the gay community. I would. Oh my God, I'd be so happy.
I don't know. I think the difficulty is that there will be some of these footballers who are resisting wearing the armband because they are raging homophobes who think gays should be thrown off buildings. There might be 1 or 2 footballers who actually have that view. Who knows? There'll be others who don't care what people get up to in their private life, but don't approve of gay marriage. There will be some who don't care about, the LGB part, but worry about the T part of the LGBT. People have all different views on this type of thing. And as you say, there's no one definition of the rainbow flag anymore, unfortunately. So people don't know what they're signing up to when they wear their armband around the pitch. I don't know, Cristo. I don't know, Cristo, but I just think it needs
Would
to
Patrick
be
wear one?
applied completely the same.
Would Patrick wear a rainbow pair of Speedos for me?
If you ask nicely, yeah.
I think he would. I actually 100% think he would. In actual fact, I bought them. In actual fact, what I should tell people is, do you know when you and Patrick went on holiday, I actually found an extra small pair of Aussie bums, which I think I sent you the link for, saying I'm buying these for Patrick, which is
Well, they
not
wouldn't
appropriate.
fit, would they?
No, but that's the point. They would be too small. That's the point. That's the point, Emily. Thank you, Emily. That is the point. Thank you. Please allow me to objectify your husband, and if you don't let me, you're being homophobic, and you need to wear a rainbow armband. All right?
Well, now you're being a bit Greg Wallace.
Oh, he's my broadcasting idol. He's my broadcasting idol. Okay, one final word, please, because I like to talk about him every week. Prince Harry has said his life in the US is what his mother, Princess Diana, would have wanted, and also he has complained about the media attention, saying that basically 1 week he's being divorced, he's apparently moved house, he's divorced 10 to 12 times, he can't keep up with what the media say about him. He was talking about this whilst promoting his new show on Netflix. A little bit of hypocrisy there, maybe.
Just a bit, Cristo. I mean, just a bit. I mean, you can't dish the dirt in your own memoir and have a whole Netflix series about not only the royal family being racist, but the entire country of Britain that you're supposed to represent and serve being... Well, there you go. There's Spare. I haven't read it yet.
What's wrong? What's the matter?
That's an improvement, Cristo.
That is the worst thing you've ever...
I only say that because fundamentally I need to show solidarity with other gingers. You see?
You're not ginger.
Well, I'm not ginger.
You're Auburn. You're not ginger.
Oh, thank you.
You're not.
I'm not Prince Harry ginger.
You're Auburn. You've never been ginger. I've never looked at you and thought you were ginger ever in my life.
Oh, thank you.
Do you die? Does Patrick know you're ginger?
Patrick does know I'm ginger.
Does he know that you told him?
This is my natural colour, Cristo.
Well, that's Auburn. That's a beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
Shade of Auburn.
Most people say that that's the same thing, but I'm glad that you differentiate.
No. Do you think your hair is this colour? I mean, are you mad?
Cristo, you're getting off topic again.
Sorry.
We're going back to Prince Harry, and I'm going to say that he is definitely a hypocrite when it comes to the media.
He's a hypocrite.
He despises it. He wants nothing to do with it. He wants privacy. He's gone all the way to California to pursue a life of privacy away from the evil British press. But yet, he uses it when he needs it. He uses it to slag off other people. He uses it to promote his own stuff, whatever it is.
Well, that's a good quote, actually.
He's a bit confused.
He uses the media. What was the quote you just want to give? Give me a good quote for the title of the video.
I can't remember what I said, Cristo. You'll have to rewind.
He uses the media when he wants to promote something.
That's a great headline there.
He's a hypocrite. I'm writing that down.
He's a hypocrite. Emily Carver slams Prince Harry.
Emily Carver slams Prince Harry.
Fellow ginger Prince Harry.
Fellow ginger. Emily Carver slams Prince Harry and Chris Evans.
No, but to be honest, I think if I put on my, empathy hat, I think they're having a bit of a hard time, actually. Prince Harry and Meghan. I don't think they know who they are. I don't think they know what they want to be. I think they've got conflicting visions of what they want their life to be. And I think Prince Harry would probably be happier back here on the whole.
Well, I don't know if you read the Julie Burchill piece that she wrote in The Spectator this week. It was utterly scathing, but it was saying something like that basically he could probably just about come back here, but they don't know what they are. They don't know what they want to be. They seem to have no direction. And now they're trying to sort of show that they're empathetic whilst he makes a documentary about polo, which, by the way, looks amazing. It looks like wealthy trash, which I'm right on board with.
I'd rather read a Jilly Cooper novel about polo.
Do you know that Rivals? Did you watch Rivals?
Of course I did.
Of course you did.
Of course I did, Cristo.
And
there's number 2 coming out.
Yes, it's got a recommission. I'm so happy. about that. That has made me so happy. It's my
Patrick liked
birthday.
it too.
It's my birthday
Patrick
this
liked it
week.
too.
And is
Pardon?
it Patrick's birthday this week as well?
No, he's January.
Well, it's my birthday this week, and that's been a wonderful gift. And as have you been, Emily Carver.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me on your podcast. What is your podcast called? Is it
It's-
just Cristo?
Cristo, putting the world right.
Oh, okay, well, I think we've put the world to rights.
I think we have no, putting the world right.
We've put the world right.
As in sort of slightly centre right in your politics. You see there's a play on words there, putting the world
I don't
right.
like to box myself, Cristo, you know.
No, you don't. You are actually across the board in your bigotry, and I think that that's a really important trait to have, Emily Carver. I mean,
Oh, thanks.
it's been really. I'm not just drunk now because I'm a little bit tipsy, but it's not just this. I've been really lovely to broadcast with you again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've missed it.
I
missed it. You were my favourite show to go on. Well, I shouldn't say that because I did very much enjoy
say
going on
that
my
to all
favourite
the
show.
presenters. I know you do. You say that to everyone.
No, I loved going on your show and Mike Graham, and that's that.
Oh, all right. Well, listen, we love you. Please like and subscribe if you want to see any more. Subscribe
Oh,
to
all
this
right
channel,
then.
like the video, and all of this sort of thing. Can you say that as well, please, Emily Carver?
Oh yeah, please do like and subscribe Cristo's channel. It's pretty good actually. I watched some of the other videos and they were thoroughly entertaining. Although he's still trying to get to grips with the old Zoom video, thing. But he's getting there. It's getting better every time.
I am getting there. Halfway through this, the battery did run out on my phone, so there has not been one video without incident yet, but there will be soon. And people keep commenting on it, going, "You really need to get to grips with this." Where are you going? You had to finish by this time. Where are you going?
Oh no, I've got my sister and a friend coming over.
Oh, well, where are they?
Well, they should be here soon.
And why haven't I been asked?
Well, Cristo, this is a girly evening, and you are not a girl.
Well, you don't know how I identify, Emily. You don't know how I identify. Thank you, transphobe. Thank you, transphobe. And on that note of increased bigotry, thank you, Emily Carver. We love you.
Right.
And thank you very much indeed for coming on. And do like and subscribe. And we'll be back next week. Ingrid Tarrant is here next week. God help you. God help me. When we do another version of Cristo putting the world right. See you then.